Welcome to the Radio Don podcast. I am the aforementioned. Thank you very much for watching this. It is the 12th of July, 2026. This is going to be a short one, so I've just been watching things online, and I've been discovering a lot of videos from uber Christian female influencers, basically saying, we need to have more Caucasian babies to save the race or something like that. And it got me to thinking about something I read several decades ago. And it was like this. In December of 1971, Ebony magazine put comedian and activist Dick Gregory on the cover with his wife and their 8 kids, 8 of them, under a headline that still can stop a person cold. The headline was, "My Answer to Genocide." Let that one sink in. Dick Gregory wasn't being cute. He meant it. Family planning groups at the time were pushing couples towards 2.5 kids max. And Gregory looked at that number and thought about the Constitution once counting a black man as 3/5 of a person. My answer to genocide, quoting Mr. Gregory, quite simply is 8 black kids and another baby on the way. End quote. Dick Gregory wasn't alone. In 1967, over 1,000 black delegates from at the National Conference on Black Power adopted a manifesto refusing birth control programs on the grounds that they were designed to exterminate black people, or as we used to call ourselves, Negroes, back in 1967. A year later, another Black Power conference called on people to resist what they called a genocidal tendency of American society. Now, before anybody starts rolling their eyes at that, understand these people were not paranoid. In North Carolina, forced and coerced sterilizations of black women climbed from a quarter of all sterilizations in the 40s to nearly 2/3 in the mid-60s. Welfare caseworkers in multiple states told black mothers, "Tie your tubes or lose your benefits." Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And by the way, that's documented. That actually happened. So when Dick Gregory looked at a government pushing birth control into black neighborhoods, he wasn't hallucinating a threat. He was responding to one. Now, here's where it gets interesting to me. Fast forward some 50-some years, and you've got a very different set of people using strikingly similar language about a completely different population. At a pro-natalist conference last year, a guy by the name of Jack Porpisak, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, even though he probably doesn't deserve it. Jack stood in front of a room of conservative white men and said, quote, "We are not replacing ourselves. Meanwhile, those who don't share our views are." End quote. You've got a Christian influencer named Sarah Tenney going viral, bragging about how she had 6 kids specifically to keep, in her words, the Caucasian race from being extinct. The Heritage Foundation just put out a report, January of this year, laying out a policy blueprint to push more white, straight Christian couples into marriage and childbearing. Same shape, different subject, 50 years apart. Now, I want to be fair here, because it is easy to point and say, look, hypocrisy. That's not quite right, but it is not quite the point I want to make. There is a real asymmetry between these two things. Gregory was answering actual coercion, sterilization abuse, welfare blackmail, clinics deliberately placing in poor black neighborhoods. Today's white pronatalist movement isn't answering anything like that. It is answering a demographic chart. It's answering the fact that for the first time, white births are no longer the majority of births in this country. One of these is a response to a documented harm. The other is a response to a spreadsheet. But strip away the history, and underneath both of them is the exact same engine. Fear. Fear that if your people don't reproduce fast enough, they will disappear. Fear dressed up as duty. Fear dressed up as legacy. Fear dressed up, in the subject's case, as saving, quote, the West, unquote. And in Dick Gregory's case, as answering genocide. Here's my actual problem with all this. Right, left, black, white, 60 years ago, or 6 months ago, or even 6 hours ago. Nobody in either camp is actually talking about love. Love. Go back and read the pronatalist literature. Baby bonuses, motherhood, medals. Have more kids than you can afford before you think you're ready. Fertility tracking classes, quotas on scholarships for married applicants. That's not a philosophy of family. That's a number strategy with a nursery attached. Now go back and read Dick Gregory's piece. As much as I respect the man and understand what he was pushing back against, he was making an argument about arithmetic. 8 kids is a rebuttal. A baby is a statement. Somewhere in both of these movements, a child stopped being a child and became a head count in a war nobody asked that child to enlist in. I'll say this plainly, because I don't think anyone else is saying it. You have a baby because you love somebody, and you want to build a life with them, and because you think that particular, specific, repeatable human being deserves to exist. Not because your race needs replacements. Not because some think tank thinks your uterus has to hit some demographic target. Not because a magazine cover needs a number on it. Fear has been recruiting babies for 50 years, wearing a different flag every generation. Personally, I'd like to see love get a turn. Now, before wrapping up, a couple of things. First, I want to be transparent. The thoughts on what I just said are solely my own. But I did have help putting these words together. Anthropic's Claude has been a great assist to me, not only in researching what you just heard, but in putting these words together in something that could be at least mimic coherency. I just want you to know that even though I had AI help in researching this and putting this together, all of the thoughts are my own, and I am solely responsible for the content. Also, before I close, I need to let you know that we don't have any sponsors on this thing. We don't have any financial support. in keeping this going. I'm just a guy with some semblance of a podcast with bills to pay and rent to maintain. And it's getting really hairy right about now. If you think what I've said today or anything I have said in the past is of some value, I'd like for you to do this. First, follow me wherever I am. That would cost you nothing. Neither does reposting this podcast or anything else I do. I really would appreciate it. Also, right now, it is crucial. You can buy me a coffee. You can do that at buymeacoffee.com/Radio Don. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/RADIODON. Anything you could do there would help a lot, especially right now. We're also working on memberships, and I'll let you know about that soon. Finally, you can become a paid subscriber on my Substack. That would be radiodon.substack.com. radiodon.substack.com. We're not paywalling anything yet, but your support will be helpful. It only takes $5 a month to do that, and you can quit any time. Also, if you decide to help me out for a full year, I'll let you have 2 months for free. That's it. I'm done. Thanks for listening. I'll be thinking about you. Talk to you next time. Now go love somebody on purpose.